In our last session, I read to you the Declaration of Independence. I read that to you at the request of the deacon. You know, the chief writer of the Declaration of Independence was Thomas Jefferson. Here in this copy from the Heritage Society, they say the Declaration of Independence is chiefly the work of Thomas Jefferson, who described it as an expression of the American mind, intended to place before mankind the common sense of the subject in terms so plain and firm as to command their assent. And now we have a list of the signers. You know, these were brave men in their time. These were men who put their name on a document that was given to the King of England, and knowing that it would probably lead to war. So it wasn't a step they took lightly. For Connecticut, the signers are Samuel Huntington, Roger Sherman, William Williams, and Oliver Walcott. Delaware had Thomas McKeon, George Reed, and Caesar Rodney. Those representing Georgia were Button Gwinnett, Lyman Hall, and George Walton. For Maryland, Charles Carroll of Carrollton, Samuel Chase, William Paca, and Thomas Stone. Massachusetts signers were John Adams, Samuel Adams, Elbridge Gerry, John Hancock, and Robert Treat Paine. From New Hampshire, Josiah Bartlett, Matthew Thornton, and William Whipple. New Jersey signers, Abraham Clark, John Hart, Francis Hopkinson, Richard Stockton, John Witherspoon. From New York, William Floyd, Francis Lewis, Philip Livingston, and Lewis Morris. North Carolina, Joseph Hughes, William Hooper, and John Penn. For Pennsylvania, George Clymer, Benjamin Franklin, Robert Morris, John Morton, George Ross, Benjamin Rush, James Smith, George Taylor, and James Wilson. For Rhode Island, William Ellery and Stephen Hopkins. South Carolina, Thomas Hayward Jr., Thomas Lynch Jr., Arthur Middleton, and Edward Rutledge. For Virginia, Carter Braxton, Benjamin Harrison, Thomas Jefferson, Francis Lightfoot Lee, Richard Henry Lee, Thomas Nelson Jr., and George Wythe. How many of those names are familiar to you? How many of these men do you read about further in history, not just at the signing of the Constitution or Declaration, but some of them became presidents or other cabinet officers? And how about, do any of them have your name? Are any of you directly related to any of them? You could be. For our next session, we will begin to read the Constitution of the United States. It's an important document, and it's written on a level that's easy to understand, but there is so much in it. So many words that mean important things. So you might want to get a head start and read up a little before we start again. Join me the next time when we begin to read the Constitution of the United States.